Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Geek Garage podcast. We are on episode number 71 and we have a fantastic topic for you today, which we will of course get to in a few minutes. But first I have to welcome my typical co-host Ted White. How are you doing, good sir?
I am alive, and as I've been told, every day above the dirt is a good day.
Yes.
I don't know that I believe that, but that's what I've been told.
I mean, it sounds good to me. Like I'd much rather be alive than dead, but then again, if I was dead, I wouldn't have like bills and shit to pay. So,
That's
maybe
1 point for dead.
before we get a little too introspective, we should just, move away from this.
Yeah, we
And
should keep it a little lighter than that.
right, which is kind of perfect because we probably have the lightest topic ever to talk about on this podcast.
Or any
And
podcast, probably.
right, yeah. Unless there was, I'm sure there is a podcast out there that's centered around this one particular topic and nothing else. I'm gonna go look that up later and see if that actually exists. But before we get to said topic, which I know each and every seven of you that are listening are just chomping at the bit to hear us discuss. Ted, would you like to hit us with some quick show notes or notes about the show?
Yes, that's what show notes are, in fact.
It
Uh,
says pre-roll in our notes, but like not everyone is savvy to the term of pre-roll. So
I'm
yeah,
convinced it's something you made up, but that's neither here nor there.
yes.
Me. Yes, I would love to do the show notes here. First things first, for those of you that have not heard, we've been shouting it from the rooftops. And by rooftops, I mean my home office. And by home office, I mean the corner of my living room. We have an Etsy shop. This is where
Yay.
you would applaud if you were in the room with us, but you're not, so we get what we get. You can find us on Etsy by searching for Geek Garage Gear. As you may have noticed, we are fans of alliteration here at the Geek Garage Podcast. It is still a work in progress, so don't judge us too harshly just yet, but we do hope to have a lot more things listed over the next few days and in the coming weeks, of course. Predominantly still stickers, I believe, David, yes?
Yes, we have actually I listed one or two Halloween items. I know there's a Jack Skellington sticker on there, but there's also I believe this past weekend I posted a picture on Instagram and the other social medias that shadow box that I made of the
Yes.
cardstock like haunted house and like with
Hmm.
the tree and all that shit. That is which is the technical term, by the way.
Yes, in
That
fact.
is all on our Etsy page right now, and I'm
Nice.
in the process of putting some more things up there. So yes,
Those are topical and seasonal, and it's not
yeah,
just about geeky stuff, apparently. So that's
mm-hmm.
a misleading title if there ever was one.
It's all
But
right.
check it out. There is some stuff on there now, and there will be more coming up in the near-ish future. Speaking of websites we're on, you can find us on all the social media or apps if you use those, I guess. I am not savvy, but they exist apparently. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But the best way to stay up to date with the podcast, other than listening, is to find us on Facebook through the Facebook group Geek Garage Podcast Fans and Listeners, very aptly titled that. We also post on there from time to time, so you can even interact with us and tell us what idiots we are. And then we will
Yeah,
ban you because that's rude. You shouldn't do that. That's mean.
even if it's true,
Even if it is true, by God, we don't need you telling us that shit. We know.
we
Uh,
remind ourselves on a daily basis.
yes, believe me, I've had 35 years to come to terms with it. All right, you're not hurting my feelings. We also conduct weekly polls and have other nerdy conversations where you can make fun of other people for their bad opinions. That, of course, is one of the cornerstones of being a nerd or a geek. There is a link in the description if you would like to join the group. It is free, and you can support the show. What also is free, and another way to support the show, is to subscribe to the podcast if you have not already. We are available on all the major podcast platforms, including Amazon. So we sold out. No, I'm sorry. We didn't sell out. We bought in.
eh, it was like, hey, do you want to be listed on Amazon Music or Amazon Podcast or whatever the fuck it's called? And I was like, sure, the more the better, right?
Yeah.
And it was literally like 3 clicks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was also free, which is why we did it, because we're cheap as fucking shit.
Yep.
But subscribe if you have not already. Tell your friends to subscribe. You can also leave a rating and review on Apple Podcast if you would like to support the show that way. We do not accept anything less than 5 stars. So if you want to leave a 4-star review, don't. If you want to leave a 3-star review, guess what? Don't. 2-star review, you're going to be surprised by this, but don't do it. You are allowed, however, to leave a 1-star review as long as it's funny. We accept those.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's 5 stars a bus, baby.
Yep.
A way to support the show that unfortunately does cost your hard-earned dollars is through Patreon. And we have a couple of different tiers. Both of them are pretty cheap, and your money will be put to good use.
Yes. Like
As
cocaine
far
and
as you know,
hookers.
at least.
Yes.
We would like to thank our 2 newest patrons from this week, Steven, a.k.a. Steve-O Light, which I'm assuming is a nickname.
Yeah, that's his Facebook handle.
I assumed that perhaps he was a beer in a former life, but that's not even there.
Maybe. I don't know the meaning or reasoning behind his pen name or moniker or whatever
Is he a
it's called.
heavy-set gentleman? Is it an ironic light?
Nope. He is skinnier than I am.
Perhaps it's
So
literal then.
probably.
Indeed. Our second new patron from this week is Rachel Odom. You can check out her Etsy page at Rachel Odom Arts. That's RACHELODOM Arts. If you can't spell arts, there's no helping you.
Yeah.
Donors like them get neat perks like a cool button or sticker set, a button and sticker set. That's pretty dope.
Yep.
You get your name on our Patreon Wall of Donors page on the Geek Garage website, and you also get weekly updates, which, joke's on you, weekly updates go out to everybody. Ha 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 ha, suckers.
No, they
You can
don't.
follow the link at the podcast description if you are interested in becoming a supporter, but God knows why you would be. Also, give us money. Thank you. David, back to you.
Yes. I just want to reiterate, I guess, or say thanks once again to not only our current Patreon subs, but Stephen and Rachel. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for hopping on board. We're almost to 10. We are one shy of 10. And that is, I mean, like 10, it's,
Question.
a relatively small number, but
Right.
like I think that's kind of a big fucking deal for
Yeah,
us. Like
that's
almost
double
10.
digits, baby.
Yeah.
If I donate to the Patreon and become our 10th member, does that count? Or is it like stat padding?
You know what? I don't think it's as serious as stat padding, but I don't think it should rightfully count.
Well, that's good, because I wouldn't give us money anyway. So,
Right. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and Ted definitely touched on this a little bit, but Steven actually brought this up when I was chatting with him earlier today. And while I was thanking both him and Rachel for subscribing to our Patreon, Stephen he was actually the first to kind of ask me, what do you do with our funds? And like I said, Ted iterated a little bit like, we put it back into the podcast. And that's essentially what happens. Like none of this money like goes into our pockets. It's not for personal use. It all goes back into the podcast to increase the overall quality. So, we're talking like tech upgrades when needed, better microphones. I also explained that it also goes to fund like promotional trips, like going to conventions, because as Ted knows, booth fees are not cheap. They're typically around like 200 to 350 for a weekend. And yeah, it would be nice to not have to dip into our own pockets for that. So yes, stuff like that is what your hard-earned doll hairs go towards. And once again, we thank you from the bottom of our cold, dead hearts.
yes.
Ted, would you like to go ahead and get this shiggity show on the road?
Are you not going to tell them what the topic is?
You know what? I think it should be a surprise. Also, I mean, if they got this far, I'm assuming that they like clicked on play on the whatever app they pulled up the podcast on and saw what the episode topic was. Cereal. We're going to be talking about cereal. Why?
Yeah.
We're
No one
going to
knows.
get to
It's
that.
provocative. I always assume that we don't have willing listeners. I assume that this is used as torture in some place like Guantanamo Bay.
Right. It's possible.
There's nothing
Anything is
funny about
possible.
torture. Don't laugh at that.
You know what? You shouldn't have brought it up then, because
Yeah,
anything
no.
and everything is
Way to go,
subject to
Ted. You
laughter.
darkened the whole fucking mood, dick.
We're gonna lighten it up with some cereal here in just a second.
Now, David, you did mention moments ago, before that wonderful intro music,
Yes.
that we're doing cereal, and
Not literally.
no. Well, no. It's too messy. We're talking about cereal, and I
Yes.
know that all of our listeners are asking themselves, why?
I honestly don't think they care either,
No,
because
no, they don't. No one does, in fact. So this is a moot point. We're doing this episode because it's our podcast. We do whatever the fuck we want. Basically, is the real answer. The fake answer that David had written down is because he and I talked about this and our mutual love of cereal, which is very true.
Mhm.
And then we had a
Yes.
joke about the idea of having a podcast about cereal, which we put to bed for being brain dead, basically.
Yeah, Ted, remind us one more time what the name of that idea
Yes,
was.
the title of that was going to be "Serious About Cereal: A YouTube Experience," despite it not being on YouTube,
Right.
because we're dumb as shit and thought that was a funny joke.
Well,
um,
most likely I was high at the time and
there
I
is a
brought it up.
1000% chance that's exactly what happened.
And like Ted, that's typically 9 times out of 10, when I say something and Ted laughs, I'm usually high, which is funny. It just within itself. I don't know why. That's only funny to me, I guess.
Yeah.
But
So this kind of became a recurring joke between David and I, and we never really seriously discussed putting it on the podcast until we ran out of ideas. Basically, is what happened.
we needed a quick filler episode
Yeah.
in between
It's too
our
early for the Halloween shit, and yeah, so this is what you get. Deal with it. You don't have to
right.
listen. Nobody's forcing you, unless you are in Guantanamo Bay, and this is being used as a torture device. In which case, blink twice.
But eh, according to the comments and whatnot on our Facebook flash poll, I I get the idea that no one is really going to mind a random fucking episode about cereal.
That's good. Thank you for bringing up the poll, David. I was getting there, but my bad jokes had to take precedence, as you know. So
It's fine.
it is what it is. Tell us about the poll.
So there was actually a couple polls. Do you want to go into depth about our most recent, or not most recent, our poll that happened a couple days ago regarding topics for Halloween in October, or do you want to go over the cereal poll?
Put a pin in the Halloween topic. We will circle back to that, and let's go
Okay,
through the cereal
sure.
poll.
Cereal, well, it wasn't so much a poll as like a an inquiry or question. I mean, it wasn't, in the traditional poll format. It wasn't like what cereal is best. Uh, I basically just straight up said, "What's your favorite cereal?" This may or may not pertain to a future episode. Spoiler alert, it did, and here we are.
Yes, 2 hours later, future, in fact.
Right. And yeah, like I posted that and set down my phone, started getting stuff out of the freezer to make for dinner this evening. And like 5 minutes later, I come back to my phone and it's blown the fuck up with comments like, Ted, I texted you like right after. I was like, apparently people that like us love cereal. So
Yeah, I mean, cereal is delicious and, well, not nutritious exactly, but it's good.
yes, I think the ratio of quote unquote bad cereals to healthy cereals is astronomically
Yeah,
high.
it's like 9 to 1 at least.
At
Um,
least.
and there's also, I've noticed, a direct correlation between how good a cereal is in terms of how tasty it is and how good for you it is in terms of healthy. And
Oh
it is
yeah.
negative. It is negative as shit.
Yeah, it really is one of those most disappointing things of all time when you're like, God damn it, like why can't this tasty fucking food be good for me?
Especially because if you look at the boxes and all the commercials, they're like, it has all these vitamins and minerals under like a layer of sugar deeper than the ocean.
Or you'd literally have to eat like 7 bowls to get the amount of vitamins that they say
Yes, and
it
by bowl
contains.
4, you've slipped into a diabetic coma never to return. So, cereal's a
Right.
fickle mistress. Fickle, fickle
Yes.
mistress.
Yeah, indeed. But god damn it, we love it so much. So, like I said, we had a shit ton of people comment their favorite cereals. Rika, she commented that her favorite was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I was like, CT Crunch, classic. She was the first to get in there. Our friend Gail, she commented first that she said Captain Crunchwrap. Sorry, I don't know why that's so fucking funny.
Okay.
But she,
Note to future Ted. Maybe you read the poll results the next time.
but like, so I responded. I was like, Crunchwrap. I'm assuming that's not a correct, and she's like, yeah, it's not a correct, but I'm leaving it because it's too funny. So yeah,
I just
uh,
assumed that was some like stoner shit that like some hardcore fucking like Cheech and Chong level stoner was like, what if Captain Crunch but like wrapped up somehow? Like a Crunch Wrap Supreme from Taco Bell.
yeah.
Oh
I
my
just,
god, I am fat as shit. I'm so embarrassed.
I'm just imagining like a flour tortilla and someone like taking just a fistful of fucking Captain Crunch and shoving it in there and like rolling it up and like squishing the
Right,
sides.
it's like a burrito, but with Captain Crunch instead of ground meat.
Ex- exactly.
Oh, that sounds terrible, actually.
You know what? I bet if you made it like a sopapilla or
Yeah,
like
you're
fried
right. You're right.
cheesecake, it could be pretty litty titty, fam.
You know
Like,
what? We might have a future in terrible. You know what? We're gonna put a pin in that because that might be our next food truck idea.
all right,
You can catch us
after
on diners, drive-ins, and dives,
right,
bitch.
I was just about to say after this, I'm dialing up that dickhead Guy Fieri, and we're gonna. Sorry, I don't. He's
Get
not
me
a
Gordon
dickhead.
Ramsay right fucking now.
He's not a dickhead. He's actually a genuinely nice guy. Like like a hardcore philanthropist, which I did not
Fieri?
know. Yeah,
Yeah, he's like a living meme. I have a lot of respect for his weird assness.
yeah,
Anyway, continue with the poll there.
right, yeah. So Mimi, our good friend, she mentioned that she is also a fan of Captain Crunch or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Of course, two great fucking classics. Hunter, he mentioned Frankenberry and Booberry because it's the spoopy season. Hey, I see another person that uses the term spoopy. Remember from
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's a thing that lives on the internet.
yeah. Well, I mean, sure, okay. Uh, yeah, and we kind of talked about those for a few minutes and how I think my Halloween themed cereal experience is quite limited. Actually,
Yeah. It's time for my one time per episode shout out to my girlfriend, who is the
yes.
world's biggest Count Chocula fan.
Oh
Speaking
yeah,
of Blueberry and all that, yeah, she fucking loves Count Chocula.
it's pretty great.
Yeah, I don't like marshmallows, and I really hate like the little marshmallows that are in cereals.
Hmm.
So I can't with it. But if they ever bring back Fruit Brute, I will literally cry. I
Fruit
will
Brute.
weep with joy.
I am not familiar with that one.
Fruit Brute is part of that whole horror themed
Oh,
cereal
okay.
Yale thing. Of course, there's the three famous ones that are the ones that still get pretty released pretty regularly are Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Blueberry. Like you mentioned, was part of the Facebook discussion.
Okay.
Fruit Brute was a werewolf and there was also Yummy Mummy, which was a mummy. I'm kidding. Unfortunately, those were discontinued, and for whatever reason, didn't really get relaunched that much. They got relaunched in Fruit Brute. I think the last time it was out was like 2013, 2012, something like that. Same for Yummy Mummy. They came back for a very short time. I guess they weren't as popular. Um, but yeah, I'm depressed because Fruit Brute was the fucking jam.
Well, I am kind of sad that I didn't get a chance to try it. I kind of want to try it now.
Yeah,
But
that's good.
yeah, in the spirit of discontinued serials, but with the potential to come back, our next comment was from Laura M. She mentioned that it's usually Lucky Charms, that's her favorite. But since who is it? General Mills is going retro with some of their classic cereals. They're coming back. I think it's like a total of 4 or 5 that are coming back in some form or fashion. Like they're either redoing the look of the cereal. I think like Tricks are going back to their original shape where they were like, weren't they like rabbits or something?
Well, the mascot was a rabbit, but I think the shape of the cereal itself was supposed to be like little fruits.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. That like internet. What do you call it? Internet rumor, or I don't know what you call it, but it was basically like, what if we don't see Tricks as their usual shape anymore because we grew up and we're adults and Tricks are only for kids? And I was like,
Whoa.
but yeah. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. She said that now that they are bringing back, I don't know if it's for a limited time or what, but Golden Grams is part of this
Oh, nice.
General Mills classic cereals revival equation. And I'm trying to remember exactly what Golden Grams look like, but I want to say that I at least had them. Golden, I'm actually typing this in
I don't remember what they look
as
like.
we speak.
I
Okay,
always
yes.
get them confused with honeycomb, which is
Uh
dumb because they probably don't look at all alike.
okay, yeah, Golden Grams, they look a lot like CT Crunch basically,
Hmm.
but I'm assuming they differ in flavor.
One would
It's I
hope.
think it's the honey. They're
Yeah.
supposed to have like a honey flavor to it. But yeah, that's awesome. Uh, I don't know if I should talk about this now. Like I one of my favorite cereals recently within the last couple years was brought back from the depths of death, cereal heaven, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and that was French Toast Crunch. It was my one of my all-time favorites growing up. Um, and yeah, I was super excited about when they announced that was coming back. I think I had it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a week straight. Nearly got diabetes, so don't do that, kids. Um, next up, we have Steve O Lights, one of our newest Patreon donors. He said that he has a couple favorites. I'm assuming that he is just as much of a fan as cereal as we are. And of course, everyone else is, but he named a couple. He said Berry Crunch, Berry Kicks, which I don't know even know if I knew that that existed. Ted, did you know that Berry Kicks was a thing? I thought that they
Yes,
just had.
I do. I do have some vague recollection of those existing.
Hmm. But anyways, he said that Cookie Crisp and Golden Grams are uh, the only ones that he still really likes. Um,
You know, I'm glad that somebody brought up Cookie Crisp because this has bothered me for 30 years. Right?
okay.
The audacity, the fucking audacity to tell people, yeah, we have little mini chocolate chip cookies as cereal, but they got vitamins in them shits. Fuck you,
Did
you
they really?
bastards.
Did they really advertise that they had vitamins in?
Probably like, oh, there's wheat, maybe fiber and shit. No, it's a chocolate chip cookie shrunk down, and Having 30 of them doesn't make it not. It's stop.
Yeah, even as like a 6-year-old, I was like, cookies for breakfast, girl, no,
Sounds
no,
fake, but okay.
it's wrong, wrong, fake news. Um, but yeah. Anyways, moving on. Mark B, he mentioned he is also a fan of Blueberry. Chris V, he mentioned Fruity Pebbles, and I told him that I was also a hardcore fan of Fruity Pebbles growing up and had it on a pretty regular basis.
Yep.
But it always gave me like for the rest of the day, I would always have like weird burps. Like
Okay.
it's the most random shit ever, but like I would burp and it would smell like a just a fruity cereal salad bar in my mouth. Like it was very bizarre.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it probably wasn't the cereal, but maybe
What's that supposed to mean?
nothing. That's just an observation.
All right. Jeff Breedwell mentioned waffle crisp. Autumn M, she mentioned Fruit Loops. John J, he mentioned Fruity Pebbles as well. And Emily, she mentioned Captain Crunch, but the Kroger brand, Reese's Puffs, and good old CT Crunch.
Hmm. A lot of classics.
Mm-hmm.
Not surprised that some of them were repeated. Popularity
Sure.
and all that.
Right.
Pretty solid answers, I think
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah, I there really isn't a cereal on here that I wouldn't try myself if I hadn't had it already. I tell anyone and everyone that accuses me of being a picky eater, I'm like, bitch, I will go down to Walmart with you right now and walk down the cereal aisle. And I'll let you pick out any fucking cereal that you want, and I will eat that shit. And I mean, this conversation has never actually happened. It's only really happened with myself in my head in the shower when I get really angry. Um, so there you have it. That's the episode, folks. I'm gonna go jump on oncoming traffic.
Okay, well, you enjoy that. Um, I also like cereal. So,
You
David,
do?
I know you like cereal. You've just spent an interminable amount of time really talking about that. So, what are your favorite cereals? Let's talk about what we like. We've heard what the listeners like, and no one cares. So let's talk about what we like.
So real talk, I have approximately 2.5 to 3 bowls of frosted mini wheats a night.
Okay, so when you say 2.5 to 3 bowls, are you refilling the same bowl, or are you just like giant one giant bowl that you eat out of with like a soup ladle?
I guess the latter, like it's a regular normal size bowl that you would put stuff in. Like it's not a vat or like a
Not a
giant,
vat.
yeah, it's not
It's
a
not a
vat
cauldron.
or a giant metal mixing bowl that you
Your
would
giant
make.
cereal tureen.
Yes, I would like a terrarium full of my favorite cereal, please and thank you. Um, God damn
I
it.
would like a rustically appointed ranch style home full of Captain Crunch and Melt right now. Thank you.
Uh Yes. No, I do in fact use the same bowl and I refill it with my cereal. But
Hmm.
the so I would go so far as to say I never buy the name brand cereal unless it's something that doesn't come in generic form.
Right.
Just because like I literally cannot tell the difference. In fact, with Frosted Mini Wheats, I prefer the generic brands. I'm an old fucking man like that. And
Yeah, so I'm an old man too. I typically like old man cereals as my woman she
my
calls them,
woman.
as my girlfriend calls them. She always accuses me of liking old man cereals because she's like the cinnamon toast crunch, Count Chocula. Like I said, she likes the sugar cereals,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, give me corn flakes or you know? Gotta watch my calcium, or whatever
Right.
the cornflakes. I don't know, corn probably. Um, but like cornflakes, And I agree with you on the off-brand cereals. Like one of my favorite cereals is the Dollar General brand. It's very specific here. Okay, follow me. The Dollar General brand of Honey Bunches of Oats.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think I remember you mentioning this when we first started talking about our affinity for
yeah.
breakfast cereal.
I'm a cereal snob, but I'm not like a high level cereal snob. And what I mean by that is like I'm very picky. I'm a picky bitch about my
Yeah.
cereals, but they
Yeah,
don't have
that
to be like bougie, right? They just have
right.
to be specific.
No, that definitely makes sense. I am pretty much the same way. I can be flexible, but like I said, I there are some things that I'm a little bit more picky on, mostly because I'm a cheap bastard and I just like a good deal. And
Right.
you can go to Walmart and get like the 51-ounce bag
Yeah, I can get
of
a pillowcase full of cereal
right. It
for like
literally look
$2.19
yeah.
from fucking Malto Meal, right?
Yeah, it literally looks like a fucking pillowcase.
It does. Or I can get like a little pissy ass box for $12. Fuck you.
I God, this fucking shit makes me so angry. Like, how? What? What gives you the right?
Who
What
do
gives
you
you
think
the
you
right?
are?
Who do you think you are charging $5 for a box of cereal
I'm,
and
I'm General Mills.
have the audacity to put family size on it? You motherfucking cocksuckers!
So now I'm being fat shamed as well. How dare you?
Right, like how you gonna play a player like that, huh?
Right, right. Some of us are
Um,
orphans and we eat the whole thing. So fuck you. Fuck your face. Um, I know one that we both happen to enjoy. One cereal we both happen to enjoy is Honey Nut Cheerios, or
mm,
or Honey Nut Round O's because Cheerios is copyrighted.
yeah, yeah, that's right. It is copyrighted.
Yeah, Honey Nut O's. That's my favorite. Honey Nut O's.
I think when we talked about this particular cereal off air as well, remind me, did we talk about the excuse me, the what is it, the cinnamon apple cinnamon Cheerios? Did we talk about that?
I don't know, but those are also delicious.
Yeah, they're
Basically, anything apple cinnamon is great. I ate when I was a kid. I ate Apple Jacks like they were going out of fucking style.
yeah, those were pretty good too. They weren't. I'll be the first to admit they weren't my favorite, but
It's okay to be wrong.
hey, like it's. I was gonna try and find good. You derailed my analogy finding
I'm good at that.
skills, like they were ever fucking in place to begin with. But yeah, uh, it's they're like they say in Wedding Crashers about pizza, like good pizza, bad pizza, it doesn't matter. There's love in the air. But yeah, Ted, like, is there any other cereal that you tend to favor that we haven't yet discussed?
I mean, pretty much anything with cinnamon. I really like cinnamon a lot.
Yeah, I
Onion
have
cereals.
I put Cinnabon creamer in my coffee every
Hmm.
morning.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't realize how much I loved cinnamon until like someone pointed out to me. They were like, "You sure do fucking love cinnamon," and I was like, I looked in my hands and like I had 5 things that contained cinnamon in just my 2 hands. I didn't know that was humanly possible, but it was, and I was like, "Holy shit! I guess you're
Cinnamon's
fucking
not that
right."
big, David. I don't. Why would it not be humanly possible?
I don't know. I just looking back, it seems like it was a lot of stuff that I was holding in my
That's fair.
hands.
That's fair.
Um,
But yeah, also honey cereals. When we talk about honey nut
yes,
Cheerios, those are good. But
yeah,
I also like
honeycombs.
honeycombs. Those are good.
Hmm. Yeah,
Whatever happened to Smacks? You remember those? Whatever happened to those? Are they
yeah.
still around? Little frog fuck. Whatever happened to him?
That frog fuck, where'd he go?
He was a part of our lives, and then poof, in the fucking ether. Where's he? What's he doing now?
Right, fucking traitor.
Is it like him and the Warner Brothers frog from the WB just chilling, talking shit about us because there's like, fuck it, we're rich now. Fuck them.
Right.
You know
We're
what I'm
like
talking about? Fuck Smacks. Fuck him.
2020 is for the fucking birds. See
This is
ya.
bullshit.
Yeah. I think that's what happened actually.
Yeah, that makes as much sense as anything else.
Right. Like, I mean, what's fun in like googling something when you could just hypothesize about these fictitious serial
Cereal
characters.
mascots for children.
What'd you say?
I said they're fictitious cereal mascots designed for children.
Yeah, they just saw the end of the world coming and they were like, F this, I'm out.
Yeah, they're in quarantine from the Rona.
Right.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Googling, as usual, we did the bare minimum of research. And David, the history of cereal, it's tragic.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you like anything about the brief history research that I did. So I just put it in my notes. It's so fucking boring. I don't even want to talk about it. LOL.
Yeah,
That's what I put in my notes, like verbatim.
that's true. There is one really funny tidbit, historical tidbit about cereal, and I
Yes,
think this is probably pretty well known by
it was. It
internet
was.
standards.
Yeah, I mean, right by internet standards, it was new news to me. Couple. I was trying to figure out if someone, maybe you had told me this a while back, and it was just one of those things. I was once again probably high at the time, and then I forgot it. And so yeah. Anyways, Ted, go ahead.
So there's a dark history to Kellogg's cornflakes.
You could say that.
Yeah, it's a sad fucking history, if anything. The creator, John, wait for it, this is going to blow your mind what his last name is, Kellogg. He believed that sex was bad. All sex. Not just the fun, dirty shit, but like all of it.
Right.
Which
No,
is, yeah,
nothing.
those are, yes, those are ways you could do it.
Is that a question?
I wasn't expecting a sex ed lesson, but okay, yes, they're. Look, if you don't know, we're not here to tell you. There's ways. Just go on the internet. There's all kinds of shit on the internet about sex.
Yeah.
Probably not healthy shit, but it's out there. You can find it. Anyway, he believed that sex was so bad that he and his wife adopted kids. Whew, what a bad hand she was dealt. And
Right.
to combat what he felt was the youth's fervent zeal for masturbation, he created cornflakes because he was like, they're so fucking terrible and devoid of flavor that you will lose your horny if you eat this fucking cereal.
You lose your horny. Dude, I like to think that Mrs. Kellogg was like getting plugged by the milkman.
that's getting edited out.
But it's so like that's the world that I want to live in, right? It's just when
Where Mrs. Kellogg is getting plowed by the neighbor.
yeah.
Sure, honey, go invent your shitty cereal. I gotta go get my back broke by this neighbor boy. Because he's a fan of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which keeps you horny. So
So if Kellogg's Corn Flakes was meant to be like the anti-sex, anti-masturbatory cereal,
mhm.
what would be the one that just makes you like, I want to fuck everything?
The sex cereal, like the depraved horny
Right.
cereal. Oof.
Maybe like the novelty cereal they sell at Hustler that's like shaped like dicks.
Yeah. I gotta say, Mr. Kellogg, I do enjoy your cereal. Although I gotta be honest with you, it has never once made me not want to.
I mean, I I honestly don't know if I've ever had corn. I'm sure I've had cornflakes like when like I went to go visit my grandparents, and of course they're fucking 100, so they eat like the true old people stuff, like they eat shredded wheat.
Without the frosting.
Right. And and they of course eat uh cornflakes, which explains why my grandparents assumedly had not had sex in such a very fucking long time, I guess. But yeah, that's all they would have, and we're like, all right, well, thanks for letting us know loud and clear, grandma, that you fucking hate our guts. So We're gonna tell Dad when he comes
I
to pick
want you
us
to
up
be as
later.
dry as I am.
Damn it. Okay. Well, Ted, was there anything else to add regarding the um unfortunate history of cornflakes and Mr. John Kellogg?
No, I think we have covered everything that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, if you have any other listeners, this is for you. If you have any cereal factoids or interesting things about the history of cereal, please let us know. Hit us up on social media or email us. We want to hear it, and if you do, we'll talk about it next episode, or we won't. We'll just talk
Yeah,
about it
we've
on.
we've moved past it. The moment is gone. That's enough about cereal. Let's get to something that's moderately more interesting.
Is there? I mean, like, it's cereal. It does speak for itself. So
It's true.
yeah, just circling back to the other poll or discussion that we had regarding, oh, well, there's a couple. One, like, if you listen to last our previous episode where we did our very first informal paranormal, you'll know what we're talking about. If you didn't and you're listening to this episode, these are going to be, I guess, a little bit inside jokes, but we posted on our Facebook group a poll asking you to choose what your favorite of our favorite quotes from the last episode was. This isn't something we generally do. It seems kind of like navel gazing, I guess, but last episode we had a
With
couple
some
of good
bangers.
zingers. Yeah,
Mm.
and we laughed quite heartily, and they were all pretty much non-scripted, like they were all off the cuff, and a couple were from me, which is pretty rare, I might say. Like, I'm typically not good with impromptu jokes, so I was kind of proud of myself. But we asked you to vote on which of the ones were your favorites. The one that won out pretty handily is the "What you trying to do, Satan?" Or Ted, I'll let you.
It's got a certain flavor to it.
Right.
What you trying to do, Satan?
That's it. And you propose that the possible design for that quote would be what, the movie poster for The Graduate.
Yeah, I just replaced Benjamin with Satan.
Satan, are you trying to seduce me?
No, Satan would be the one being seduced.
All right, all right. Well, thanks for letting me know. All right, for being accurate to the movie. Um,
You're trying to
like,
seduce me, aren't you, Geek Garage Podcast?
sure, okay. Uh, the next one on the list that got a couple of votes was one of my zingers. Dolphins aren't real either. Stay woke. Actually, that last part Ted added, so it's actually part his joke too. God damn it. But either way, I was, I don't know. Anyways, one vote was for "What if Jesus spoke jive?"
Oh
Um,
man, that was the best one.
yeah, you were pretty bummed that joke uh, didn't get higher up on the list. Like, when you asked what the highest placing one was, I told you that it was the "What you trying to do, Satan?" And you were like, "God damn it, that is my least favorite of my favorites."
Yeah,
And then the fourth one that got 0 votes but still got a good laugh from us was the "What if the Seven Priests team had jerseys?"
that's a good one. That one should have gotten some more love.
Yeah. Granted, like I said, these are all a little inside, and a lot of the humor of them, if you want to call it that, if you indeed want to call them jokes, it comes from the context of that episode. So yeah, if you're coming at it cold, I can understand why no one fucking voted in this poll.
True.
But yeah, moving on to the last kind of it wasn't so much of a poll as another conversation, but we wanted to start getting your input on some of our October/Halloween episodes. We, as of right now, have one filled, and it is the ghost episode for the our
Yes.
informal paranormal part 2. Ted, I can't remember if we mentioned that in the last episode or not.
Doesn't
Um,
matter. We're mentioning it now, sucker.
yeah. Yep. So one out of the 4 episodes for October is currently earmarked. So we are still looking to fill the other 3, and we went to ye old Facebook group to ask for your suggestions. We got a couple good ones. We got urban legends. We got things to talk about that, or sorry, of course, with things to
Yes, we
talk
did get
about.
things to talk about.
Yes, things that used to scare us as kids. I thought that was pretty interesting because I asked for a little bit of elaboration, and she said that they it doesn't necessarily have to be movies, like anything. And I thought that kind of opens up like a whole realm of like topics we could touch on, or like, subtopics. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. We got one that's just Tales from the Crypt.
Good show.
Yeah, excellent show. um, haven't watched it in a very long time though. And then Halloween origins for different cultures. I thought that was a
That's cool.
pretty interesting idea.
Probably a little out of our wheelhouse, considering we're dumbasses, but not a bad topic overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think objectively speaking, it would be a good topic and pretty good for this episode. It definitely would require some research on our parts, so we're not ruling it out, but
Probably not, though. Probably not.
oh, that requires work on our part.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
fuck that.
We only want cereal topics where we
That's
can
right.
come into it cold,
Exactly.
just like cereal.
Some cereal's hot.
Oh, all right, you poor fucking porridge eating motherfucker. So yeah, that pretty much covers it for the conversations and talking points and all that went down on the Facebook group.
Yeah. I know that obviously I'm a big fan of horror and Halloween in that season, and I know David is too. So
Yep.
we try to bring it in the month of October. I think we did a really good job. To this day, some of my favorite episodes are the ones we did last October.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, you're definitely right. And I think it was, I mean, it wasn't just like, I definitely want to lend credit to our topics because that's when we covered The Thing, and I think we did practical effects around that time
Yeah,
too. And then we
Halloween.
did the Halloween watch long.
Yeah,
So I feel like, yes, a lot of positive stuff started like popping off at that point.
that's all going to
Um,
shit sounds, but you won some. Uh, so
hey,
yeah,
it's fun to reminisce on the times that were
good times.
and were
Yeah.
positive. All right, so before we sign off, we're going to do our typical recurring segment, shit that does not suck. And I'm going to kick it off. My shit that doesn't suck is a little show. It just premiered actually on HBO Max. Uh, it's I guess considered a show. It's more like a dramatization of some true crime events, or a true crime event rather, that happened in the mid 80s, and it's called The Murders at White House Farm. I think in the hardcore true crime community, this event is relatively well known, but it was definitely new news for me. I mean, is fact to the point where I didn't know the ending of the show. It's not like one of those well known things where you're like, oh yeah, like the chick falls down the stairs at the end or whatever. But yeah, I fucking loved it. Like, it was almost like a little mini Game of Thrones cast reunion. I think there was at least 3 or 4 Game of Thrones characters, or not characters, actors in it, which was kind of fun. But it was just really well acted. They said that a few of the things in the show were, um, they added a little bit of flavor to it, so it might not be 100% accurate to the true telling of the event, but I really enjoyed it. And if you're a fan of true crime, I you will most likely enjoy it too. So yes, The Murders at White House Farm. Ted.
Right on. Not familiar with that, but it sounds pretty cool. My shit doesn't suck. I'm kind of hopping in and going back several years. Um, I love this movie. I think it's a little underrated, and that's The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Okay.
Um, in terms of Wes Anderson films, I think this is one of his more underappreciated ones. I think it's got a bit of a cult following,
Mm.
but it doesn't get talked about like The Royal Tenenbaums or some of his other more popular films. But to me, I think this is my favorite of his. There are just so many great lines and non sequiturs, and Willem Dafoe fucking kills me in this movie. He's so funny. All right. I think that'll do it for this week's episode.
I think so.
You can always catch us on the social medias, like we said at the start. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, you're a trooper. We apologize for nothing, not a thing. We will catch you next time when it will be spoopy. Am I saying that correctly, David? Spoopy? Spoopy
Spoopy,
season. I
yes.
don't know what that is. It's an internet thing, but scary shit, presumably.
Right. Yeah. And like we said, we're gonna do our best to bring our A game for October because it's one of our favorite months and favorite seasons. So, you know, we're gonna do our best.
Right on. It's not that good, but we're
Yeah.
gonna try.
We will give it the old college try.
Indeed.
So, but yes, thank you everyone for listening, and as always, be kind, stay geeky, and eat lots of cheesecake. Bye.